Om. Om. Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Shri Chinmaya Yatishasya Gurum Vande Tapovanam Tamahimavat Vibhutim Vai Jnana Vairagya Rupinam Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vikvaram Satgurum Brahma Vikvaram. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Can you all hear me
Yes.
clearly?
Hari Om, everybody. Yeah.
So we are today on the 8th mantra of this most beautiful Upanishad. Every night I feel so blessed to be able to study this beautiful text of Veda, which is a shower of blessings upon us by the great rishis of thousands of years ago, and has been preserved by our culture, by all the other teachers, the students, teachers, guru, shishya, parampara, have preserved this knowledge. So we need to pay homage to all our teachers and their teachers and the rishis. So in this mantra, it starts with, as we all know, that see one consciousness everywhere. And if you can't do that, take the path of karma yoga service. And then the rishi talks about the nature of Atman, this consciousness which is all pervading, which is cannot be known by the mind, by the intellect, by the sense organs, because it is the subject, it is the essence, it is that which enlivens the sense organs, that which enlivens the mind. So the mind cannot know it as an object, it can only know it as the subject, as I. And that's why the language of contradictions, it moves, it does not move, it is near, it is far, for the mind to go beyond the mind to that which is enlivening it. And then last week we had talked about the man of wisdom. This person, he or she, sees one everywhere. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyevanujjanataha tatra ko moha ka shokaha ekatvam anupashyata. So one constantly sees this self everywhere. And we say it is difficult. How can one see constantly? So the way I practice is that when I am doing something that does not require much thinking, maybe like I'm on a treadmill or a bike or elliptical, or doing something, or just sitting and just looking out the window, close your eyes and see this one self that is enlivening and that is making me move, making me do whatever I am doing. And it can be even something like washing dishes or cleaning, that there is this one consciousness that is that is the cause of all my activities. And when I go for a walk or when I'm looking out, then outside with the open eyes, you see everything as that, everything as Brahman. Whatever is happening, good or bad, everything is that. So you see inside as the enlivening consciousness, outside as the object. So Sat and Chit, Chit within and Sat outside. But eventually, for a wise person, there is no inside or outside. The body actually disappears, and that alone is.
Breaking little bit. When you pause it, tell them that you come in the level of.
Oh, sorry, Neeru said it is. Is it breaking or is it clear?
No, it's not clear. It's so wrong.
Okay, so we'll have to go to the other room, or can I do it on the phone?
No.
It's fine though. For me, it is fine. So I don't know.
Okay, so we'll just.
Yeah, yeah,
pass
fine.
in the other room.
Don't have a problem.
It's
good for me.
Also, it's fine.
Fine for me too.
You can raise up the volume a little bit
Yeah.
wherever you are talking from.
I think Neeru said just come.
The
So
internet is far.
internet is far. So just take this 2 minutes, and then we may go 2 minutes over if we need to. So sorry about that. This is the other computer in our backup computer. So इतना ज़्यादा टूट रहा है।
हाँ, टूट रहा है। ज़्यादा नहीं पर टूट रहा है।
चलो, I don't need anything. I don't need this. I need this papers. And I need those papers. Start video. Sorry about that. So anyway, so then this person ekatvam anupashyata, then there is no break. Then this person constantly sees that oneness
We
everywhere.
can see you. I can't see you.
Oh yeah, off कैसे हो गया?
Okay, I don't
I started the video, it went off.
must have listened.
I didn't. नीचे click करो and start video.
You keep doing it, just doing the class.
Anyway, even if you can't see, you can hear. So we'll continue. So then this person who sees constantly, what does he see? There is one expressing as all, and he's able to see that the same spirit is expressing as matter. So the same spirit is expressing as matter. So then does this person even use his body and mind and intellect, or does he sit doing nothing? So they say no, he uses his body, mind.
I'm not getting any.
Anil,
No,
you're
You
yeah.
muted her.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you, see you.
Okay, sorry about that. We are using our backup computer. Anyway, so can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So then does this person even use his body, mind and intellect, or does he sit as a useless person sitting somewhere? No, it depends again on his. Some people have this desire to accomplish a lot and they do it, and other people feel that just by my presence the world is blessed, and both are fine. It's not that one is better than the other. At the stage of realization there are no differences. There is no difference between Mirabai and Tukaram and Swami Chinmayananda and Tapovan Maharaj and Swami Vivekananda. All are at one level. There is no difference. At the top of the mountain, it doesn't matter from which path you have gone, the ultimate destination is the same. But this Mahatma, when he lives in the world, he does not give importance to his ego. Just as he knows that the sky is not blue or there is no mirage water in the desert, so he knows that my ego also does not have any independent existence. Because as long as we identify with this ego that I am the doer, I am doing, then I will suffer the consequences, the joys and sorrows. But if I say that the body, mind, and intellect is working, but I am the consciousness, and in my presence all this is happening, then such a person, na shoka na moha. Last week we had heard that then there is no delusion and then there is no sorrow. And there cannot be sorrow or delusion for a person who identifies with the consciousness. If I identify with the body, I am the body, the mind, the intellect, it will suffer its problems. In fact, the moment you say, I have a date of birth, the moha starts. So if you are asked, what is your date of birth? Say, I was never born. Of course, in the passport you have to fill out, but in reality, you should say, I was not born because I am not this body and I will never die. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit. And so the correct learning is very important, the correct teaching, and that's why the Upanishads give us this knowledge, which we covered in the first 7 shlokas. Now we'll do the 8th shloka. It is a little difficult chanting. Who wants to volunteer? Jayashri, it's a little hard, but we want to try. The words are very off. Okay, Kusum. Moini auntie wants to try. You have the Upanishads?
I can try.
Okay. Saparyaga chukramakayam avranam.
So prayagya gachukram kayam
Asnaviragam shuddhama papa viddham.
asman viram shuddham papa vighnam
Kavir manishi paribhu swayambhu.
kavi marish nishi par bhuhu svam bhu
Yatha tatyatorthan vyadada chachvatibhyas samabhyah.
yathat satyo arthan vyadhya ach shabutibhya samabhyah.
Okay, we'll chant together. Auntie can please mute. Saparyaga chukramakayam avranam asnaviragam shuddham papa viddham kavir manishi paribhu swayambhu yatha tatyatorthan vyadada chachvatibhyas samabhyah. So this is a beautiful verse which, when it is understood, the entire creation and whatever the nature of the self is most beautifully explained. Also, form and formless, everything is explained in this Beautiful shloka. So, paryaga. Pari means gone. Aga means gone everywhere. Pari means everywhere. Aga means gone. So, saha. So, this saha, this Atma that was covered in the 6th and 7th shlokas and in the 4th and 5th, and the man of enlightenment, they are one. Brahma with Brahmaivar Bhavati. So, this Brahman, saha, paryaga, is gone everywhere. And then Shukram. Shukram means bright, of the nature of intelligence. We'll spend a little time on each word. Akayam. Akayam means without body. And avranam means without any injuries, without any cuts, without any ulcers. See, because anything that has a gross body sooner or later will suffer the problems. Asna viragam means without any muscles, nerves, tissue, tendons. That means no gross body. Shuddham. Shuddham means pure. Apapa vidham means in that there are no sins. It is beyond all sins. Kavihi. Kavihi means all knower. Also means that which is the seer, which is the witness. Manishi means the lord of the mind. Mana Isha, lord of the mind. Also Manishi means omniscient, all knowing. Paribhu. Paribhuhu means it is beyond mind and intellect. It is transcendental. And Swayambhuhu means self-created. It is self-born. Yatha Tathyatah means respectively. So here what happened is the Rishi feels that he is not able to adequately describe this entity. So what he does, he out of meter, and because human words cannot humanly describe it, so he realizes that no matter what I say, I'm never going to be able to describe it. So then he just out of his, you can say out of his wisdom, these words come out that explain what does this do. So he says yatha tathyato, respectively, arthan, all activities, functions. Vyadadachat means it gives, vyadadhat, it allots these functions to shashvatibhya samabhya. Samabhya means to these collection of people and who are eternal. So that means the devas, the gods in heaven who are relatively eternal. So this consciousness which has all these qualities but not able to describe, in the end he says everything that you see has come out of that. So we'll do one by one. One is saha. Saha means that we all know, those who are studying. So that consciousness, that Brahman. Paryaga. Paryaga means all pervading. That we had studied in the previous shlokas also. There is no place where it is not inside, outside, everything. And that we had already covered. And so I won't go into detail. Everything is that. Bright. Bright means, even in the 13th chapter, Bhagavan says, Jyotisham api tad jyotihi tamasah paramuchyate. It is the light of all lights. It is because of this light that all other lights function. And tamasa, it is beyond darkness. Even darkness is illumined by this light of consciousness. Even when I am in the dark, I know I am there because consciousness is there. And then when it says it has no akayam, avranam, asna viragam, means it has no body, it has no cuts, no ulcers, and it has no muscle. So what it means is not only the gross body, but all 5 sheets, the gross body, the subtle body, the causal body, all those, the physiological functions, the mind, intellect, everything is not. It has none of these, and it is pure. Pure, Shuddham, means it has no vasanas. It has no vasanas. and apapa viddham. Apapa viddham means it has no dharma or adharma. It has no sin or merit. You say it has no merit either? No, it is beyond sin and beyond merit, beyond papa and punya. How can it be beyond papa and punya? And Nachiketa in the Kathopanishad asks the teacher, Anyatra dharmat, anyatra dharma. So that which is beyond dharma and adharma. You say beyond adharma, I understand. What do you mean beyond dharma? See, any actions when you do with the idea that I am doing papa or I am doing punya, then why do I do papa? Oh, because it is wrong. So I avoid. That we all know. Avoid nishiddha karma. But even when you say I am doing punya, and if you do it with the idea that by doing this I will go to heaven, I will get heaven, I will be blessed by God, I will be praised by people, then even that will bind. And that we will be talking on Sunday in the Bhagavad Gita class, that how even sattvic activities can bind us. So then he says that it should be that obviously from a wise person he's not going to do a dharma, but even when he does dharma, he does not take any credit. He says, I am not the doer, the body, mind and intellect is the doer. And so as long as you think I am doing good or bad, papa or punya, you will get another birth. You will get another birth to suffer the consequences of your bad actions, or to enjoy the benefits of your good actions. But if you do it without doership, that the body, mind and intellect is working, I am not, then such a person does not get bound, does not get caught, and then no longer has to go through cycle of birth and death. So that is called apapa viddham, that there is no identification, there is no doership, there is no identification that I am doing it. If you identify, you get caught. That's why they say detach. Work is detachment. Then he says kavihi. Kavihi means, one kavi of course means poet, but here does not mean poet. The Atma is kranta darshi. That means knows past, present and future. So that consciousness which is knows past, present and future, that's what Bhagavan showed in the 11th chapter. That is that consciousness. And then sense organs also are illumined by this consciousness. Even the sense organs, the mind, the intellect, everything is illumined. It is the sense, it is the illumining presence. That's why in the Kaivalya Upanishad it says, Sa eva maya parimohit atma shariram asthaya karoti sarvam tri anna panadi vichitra bhogaihi sa eva jagrat paritripti meti. So this says in the waking state, this being enjoys all the pleasures of the opposite sex, food, drink and all. And in the dream state, he creates his own world of joy and sorrow. And in the deep sleep, he enjoys the bliss of nothingness. But that is the jiva. But what is the adharam? Anandam akhanda bodham. That's what the Kaivalya Upanishad says. That while I am experiencing all this waking, dream and deep sleep, instead of identifying with the jiva, identify with the adharam, the substratum, which is ananda bodham, which is the total consciousness, bliss, and be a witness. And then Manishi we talked about is the omniscient, knows everything because it is the Lord of the mind. Whatever the mind knows, this consciousness knows. And since it is the Lord of all minds, so whatever is known by humans, animals, birds, plants, fish, everything is known because it is the knowledge of all knowledges. That's what in the Upanishad, where the student comes back and the father asks him, tell me that, knowing which everything is known, and the student had not learnt it. So then the father teaches him that it is that, does not mean that he knows physics and chemistry and quantum physics and math. He may or he may not, but he knows the consciousness because of which everything functions and which knows all minds. And then it is said he transcends. Paribhu means transcendental. That's why they say it is transcend everything. So when the mind and intellect become still, and in that stillness of the mind and intellect, when it is turned inward, then that experience, when the mind and the intellect gives up, I cannot know that. In that silence, that transcendental experience is the experience of Atma, the experience of self. And transcendental also means it is uncontaminated. It is not contaminated, just as space is never contaminated, right? Space, it may rain, it may become wet, there may be fog, there may be smog, pollution, but space does not get wet, space does not get polluted. So similarly, this Atma is even subtler than space, so it is never polluted. Then the next, it is Paribhu. The next is Swayambhu. Swayambhu means self manifest. It manifests itself, self-created. It is the cause of all causes. And people always ask, if God created everything, who created God? You know, children often ask. So they ask the parents, so the parents say, look, I don't have the answer. When you go to Bal Vihar, ask your Bal Vihar teacher and she will tell you. So that's why it is very important for us to know this, and that's the purpose of studying this subject, so that when our children, and for our own also, that who created God, ultimately you have to come to, as Gurudev says in his commentary, Y is the father of Z, X is the and so on and on until you come to A. Who is the father of A? That. And then there is no father of that. It has to be a causeless cause which is sentient. See, you cannot say you throw 5 elements together and life will be created. That's what science says. You know, you put these things together and that will become alive. And they have tried and they have not been able to create life. Life can only a sentient object, sentient being, the Brahman, the consciousness can create all this. So to ask the question, who created God, is itself a wrong question, because you have to ultimately come to an uncaused cause, which is the cause of everything. And that is the correct. Then yatha tathyato arthan vyadada chachvatibhya samabhya. So it is said that it is that consciousness which we call as Brahman, which you can call as God or Supreme Consciousness, which to all eternal beings, Shashvati Bhya Samabhya. So all these Shashvata, eternal beings. You say, you thought we said only there is one eternal God. How come you say many eternal beings? So the Rishi explains that these eternal beings are like Indra, Vayu Devta, Surya Devta, you know, the Lord of the Sun, the Lord of the Moon, the Lord of the Oceans. All these have, compared to us, an eternal life. You know, our life is what, 70, 80, 90 years. But these people live for billions of years until the one kalpa. You know how long is one day of Brahmaji is 4.2 billion years, and one night is 4.2 billion years, because the 4 yugas together make one kalpa, and 1,000 kalpas make one day of Brahmaji. So all these gods and the creator Brahmaji himself live for one day and one night of Brahmaji, and then they go into dissolution. So that is actually the night is a night of dissolution. They only live for the day of Brahmaji and then they go into dissolution. So compared to us, their lifespan is relatively eternal. If somebody is living for a few billion years, you say, well, yeah, that is eternal compared to us. But this consciousness is even beyond that. And how do these beings get selected? Who gets to be made Indra? Who gets to be made Vayu Devta? Who gets to be made Surya Devta and all? So they say based on their karmas and their karma phalas and their abilities. So somebody has the ability of brilliance, okay, you become sun god. Somebody moves a lot, okay, you become Vayu Devta. And you have to have done good karmas. That's why they say Indra is the highest post, because he has done the most karmas. But if you read in our Puranas, Indra is also worried that if somebody on earth does lot of tapas, then my seat will be taken. And so he tries to send these apsaras to disturb them. So this whole thing is created by them. But there is one grammatical point in this particular shloka. Carrie might ask, but see, Saha is masculine and Paryaga, Shukram, Paryagaha is masculine, but then Shukram, Kayam, Vranam, Asna, Viragam suddenly becomes neuter. And then again in the second line, Kavihi, Manishihi, Paribhuhu, Swayambhuhu. So from masculine, it becomes neuter and then again masculine. So is that a grammatical error of the Rishi? No, it's not a grammatical error. What he means, there are two meanings. One is that it is beyond all genders. Masculine, feminine, neuter do not apply to that consciousness. The second interpretation is that the Rishi in his exalted state, he's not even talking. It is the consciousness that is expressing. So whatever words come out are Upanishad. So then we don't say, oh, we should change this from, this purist will say, oh, this is neuter, it should be changed to masculine. No. Whatever the Rishi spoke was not him talking, it was the consciousness. And grammar is a very minor thing, compared to this greatness of this knowledge. So that's why it is beyond genders. And to see that, we see that how this Nirguna and Saguna both are described in this. We see that Saguna is like the one which has, which distributes functions, and the one that is without body, without. So form and then the formless, Kavi, Paribhu, Swayambhu, the one that is beyond everything, the one that is transcendental. So what they are saying, the Nirguna and Saguna both are described in this particular shloka, form and formless. And correct understanding, the right name, the right description has been given. So this shloka is very beautiful to meditate on. Actually, all of these shlokas, you should pick a couple of them that you like and memorize them. And then, this Upanishad is very beneficial for meditation. And correct understanding, correct name of the Lord as best as can be described has been given. Talking about correct name, there was this man, somebody asked him, what's your name? He said, Veer Bahadur Singh. I am Veer Bahadur Singh. So he said, but why are you standing? Why are you not going there? Why are you standing here? He said, oh, there is a dog there, so I'm afraid. So the name should fit your qualities. Or he says he is a beggar on the road and you ask him what is his name. He says, my name is Lakshmi Pati. I am the Lord of Lakshmi. So, but here, whatever the teacher has described is a perfect description. It is not error. So perfect description has been given. So we'll go to the 9th shloka. The 9th, 10th and 11th are connected. So today we will chant the 9th, 10th and 11th, do the word by word meaning and do a brief commentary. I'll try to summarize what Puja Gurudev has said little bit, and then next week we will go into details, because these shlokas are so subtle that trying to fit 4 shlokas in one session is impossible. Even the commentaries I read, most of the commentators do the 9, 10 and 11 together in brief, and then they take an hour to do the entire commentary of that. Of course, we won't take a whole hour, but what I'm saying is these shlokas will go into next week. So we'll just chant the shloka and do the word by word meaning. Lata, you can do the shloka number 9.
Okay.
Andam tamaf pravishanti
Andam tama pravishanti
Ye vidyamupasate
ये विद्यामुपासते
tato bhuya ivate tamo
ततो भूय इव ते तमो
ya uvidyayagam rataha.
य उद्विद्यायागं रताः
Okay, together. Andam tamah pravishanti ye vidyamupasate tato bhuya ivate tamo ya uvidyayagam rataha. So, andham tamah, blinding darkness. Andham means blinding darkness. Pravishanti means they enter. Who enters? Who enters into blinding darkness? Ye, these people who avidyam upasate. So those who worship ignorance, avidya. Acha, theek hai, understood. Those who are living in ignorance, they go into blinding darkness, avidya. Upasate means those who worship, those who follow it. But he says, tata bhuya, even greater than that, eva, as if te tamaha, that darkness is even greater of who? Ya u, indeed, vidya ya gam rataha. So those who are in vidya yam rataha, whose their mind is in vidya, they go into even greater darkness. Say what? I understand ignorance, they go into darkness, but those who worship knowledge go into even greater darkness. How does the Rishi say that? How can it? That's why this Upanishad, we need a teacher. You cannot take a dictionary and sit down and try to understand this Upanishad because it actually doesn't make sense. And that's why the Western scholars, many of them, were not able to properly understand that. So Gurudev in his commentary, I'll cover it in brief. Or what we can do is we can chant the 3 shlokas and then do the word by word meaning and then do a little bit of the commentary. Anya dehaur vidyaya
अन्यदेहाविद्यया
anya dahur vidyaya
अन्यदाहुरविद्यया
iti shushrumadhiranam
इति शुश्रुम्धीराणाम्
yednastad vichachakshire.
येन तद्विचचरक्षिरे
Okay, together, you can please mute. Anyadevahurvidyaya Anyadahuravidyaya iti shushrumadhirana yenastad vichachakshire. Ansaben, you want to chant the next one? 11. Vidyam cha vidyam cha.
विद्यां च
Sorry, vidyam cha yaha
विद्यां च यः
tadvedo bhayagam saha
तद्वेदोभयकं सः
avidyaya mrityum tirtva
अविद्यां मृत्युं तीर्त्वा
vidyamritamashnute.
विद्यामृतमश्नुते
Together, vidyam cha sorry, you can mute. Answer.
Sorry.
Vidyam cha yaha tadvedo bhayagam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya mritamashnute. So in the 9th shloka, as we already did the word by word meaning, that those who worship with avidya go to darkness, those who worship vidya go to further darkness. So, and then the 10th one, I'll do the word by word meaning and then we'll do in brief commentaries on all of them. Anyat, so other people say avidyaya. that through ignorance and anyad ahur vidyaya, through knowledge. So there are some people who say knowledge alone is important. Some people say avidyaya. Avidyaya here means karma, and we'll talk about that. So he says, where have you heard this? Because the Rishi is saying all these. So the student says, where did you hear it? He says, I have heard from my teacher. Iti Shushruma. Iti Shushruma. In this way, Shushruma, we have heard from whom? Dhirana, from the wise people who are our teachers. They say, whom did the teacher hear from? Oh, teacher heard from his teacher. How about that teacher? Ultimately, God. That's why we say Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam. That's why, or from the Lord himself, all this knowledge has appeared. And ye naha, to us, that is naha is the sixth case of aham, plural, to us tat vichachakshire. That's how it has been explained to us by our teachers. Teachers have explained this to us, who are the dhiranam, who are the dhi means who are intelligent, who have a lot of intellect. And then the third shloka, the 11th shloka, vidyam cha avidyam cha. So vidya here means upasana, avidya means karma. So both have to be done. Yaha te ubhayagam saha. Together both have to be done. Saha. And we'll talk in detail about this. Together it has to be done. How? Avidyaya. Ignorance, mrityum tirtva. You cross death. And vidyaya amritam ashnute. With vidya enjoy immortality. So in the 9th shloka, Gurudev in his commentary says that people often get into arguments. Some people say, yeah, what is this? You are sitting in the temple and praying and meditating. You are wasting your time. Kaam karo. Go out and work. Go and build a bridge or build a hospital. Why we are spending so much money on temples? It could be used better for building hospital. So people have this idea. There is always an argument that sitting in one place is useless. You have to go out, sweat, build. So that is important. We are not saying, but the other part, having a place where you can pray to God, where you can sit in silence, whether it's in your house or in a place where when people get together in a temple and together pray, the energy that is created is very, very powerful. And when you go to that place, you feel the silence, you feel the peace, especially a temple where people have been praying for years. That's why if you go to these ancient temples or even the ancient churches, I remember when we went to Italy and went to some churches that were thousands of years old, when you sit there, you feel so clearly the peace and silence. So there is need for both. We need service and we need a place to worship, a place to pray. And for ourselves, we need some time to go out and work and some time to sit and do nothing and contemplate upon the meaning of life, contemplate upon. So it's not that only by working, or some people are all the time reading or on the phone. I am actually also guilty at times, spend too much time on the phone. But the point is that some time has to be taken out to do nothing and sit in silence. So both paths are equally important. So to fight that one is superior to the other, there is nothing like superior or inferior. And Gurudev says that sometimes people do karmas not to purify the mind, but to go to heaven. That by doing good karmas, I will go to heaven. And that should not be the right purpose, because going to heaven, you go and then you have to come back. And then there are others who detach without true understanding, which is called false vairagya, which we saw in Tibet. Those of us who went in the first group in 2004, in Tibet, everybody was a monk. So many people were monk. There were no soldiers, there were no, And so China just walked in and took over the whole country because they had no war, they had no warriors, they had no fighters. So that is false vairagya, where without understanding, people just become monks and then don't do work and then expect society to take care of them. That's what happened in India in the earlier, in 2000, before 2000. I mean, uh, before the 7th century, when Shankaracharya ji came, before 700, India had gone through that same thing, wrong understanding of Buddhism. Buddhism, vairagya is good, but if you take vairagya without adequate preparation, then what happens? You become useless. And so that's why it is said that one has to prepare the mind before you go towards sannyasa. That's why also they say, for us, they have given us, of course, for some people, right from childhood, if they have that vairagya, like, Buddha, or like some of our Swamijis of Chinmaya Mission, who at age of 25 went and studied in Bombay and then took sannyas, Swami Tejomaya Nandaji, Ishwaranandaji and all. But for people like us, we have to go through life. We have chosen the path of Grahastha. Do it to the best of your ability, serve society, and then after age 50, gradually withdraw towards a life of sannyasa, where we give less importance to what is happening in the world and my needs are met, and less importance to the children, and so on. Also, when both are criticized, it is not that the path of karma is inferior to the path of upasana or the path of upasana. When one is criticized, that means the other one is praised. So when the rishi criticizes one, that means the other one is better. So the idea is that both have to be done. And like when a child finishes high school, he says, I am all done. You say, no, high school is very good, but you have to go to college. So it's not that he's criticizing high school. He's saying, yes, high school is good, but that is not enough. You go to college. And then once he has gone to college, you say, now you do postgraduate. After having done postgraduate, that is good, but now you take up a profession, maybe engineering or medicine or law or, whatever. So when something is said it's not enough, it is to praise the other. So it's not that karma and upasana are both prescribed by the Vedas. So they cannot take us to hell. He says they cannot take us to darkness. What the rishi is doing is criticizing those who think one alone is enough. And without adequate preparation, they withdraw from karma and take sannyas, take a path of meditation where they say, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit and contemplate. And such people become a burden on society. So that is the idea, that to criticize wrong understanding of the scriptures. We can do 10th shloka and then maybe we'll have about 5 minutes for questions. So in the 10th shloka, it is says, we have heard from our teachers. So the idea is that the Guru Shishya Parampara is being praised, that you cannot learn this knowledge on your own. You have to learn from your Guru. And then the Guru has heard from his Guru, and so on. Ultimately, it is the Lord himself who is the source of all the knowledge. And that's what the Vedas were revealed to the rishis in their meditation. They did not compose these mantras. In the silence of their meditation, these mantras were manifested. And even Bhagavan Sri Krishna, many places he says, Manishinam, the wise people have said this. Ahuhu, they have said. When the Lord himself is speaking to Arjuna, he does not say, I have said it, therefore you should do it. No. He says it has been said by many. That's what Gurudev says in our scriptures. We don't say that one prophet came, spoke, left, and we believe it. Which is fine. If for some religions it works, we're not putting them down, whether it's other religions. But what they say, that this knowledge has to be tested repeatedly by different masters and confirmed then only this knowledge is accepted. Like also in physics or in science, if a new invention comes, somebody says, I have found this new thing. You say, wait a minute, we are not going to believe it. Let other labs test it out. So whatever you have done, let it be tested by other labs, be confirmed. And when all the other labs agree that this is the right thing, then only this will become applicable. This will become. So the point is that this knowledge has been repeatedly confirmed over thousands of years by great rishis, by great mahatmas, and then only this knowledge is accepted. So that is the glory of our Sanatan Dharma. That Sanatan means it is timeless, beginningless. We don't know when this knowledge started, because knowledge started when humans first manifested, and we don't know when humans first manifested because it is through many creations. How many creations have happened, we don't know. This is only one creation we are seeing, and there may be countless before and there will be countless afterwards. So that is the essence of these two shlokas. I think I'll stop here. We have about 6-7 minutes for questions, and then next week we'll do the 11th shloka, brief commentary, and then I will try to give some other ideas by other acharyas who have expanded on this, because Gurudev's commentary is very good, and if you haven't read it, please read it, because it is masterful how Gurudev has done. Even if you have already read it again, because this thing needs to be read again and again, the Upanishads. But we'll expand on these 3 shlokas next week, because this knowledge cannot be hurriedly studied. So we have to take our time. So, and repeated listening, will help. So I'll expand on these and some of the wrong ideas that people have, why this is criticized. So we'll do that next week. So we have about 5 or 6 minutes. Anybody has any questions or comments?
That shloka 9 is very confusing. It's like both sides of the coin that is being discussed. But these couple of sentences I do not understand. Those who are following the path of upasana or introvert life, who meditate deeply, seeking nothing but the all-pervading reality, seem to fall as though into a still greater darkness, because such hasty and unprepared meditators may overdo the negation aspect of the technique of meditation.
Yes.
And reach a destination of blind non-existence. What does that mean? Blind
I think
non-existence.
the more important thing is hasty and unprepared meditators.
Okay.
Hasty and unprepared. So if your mind is not ready, that's why Niru always says you have to first purify the mind. So purify the mind through karma yoga. And when a purified mind sits for meditation, then this knowledge takes place. But if you have not done, does not mean that I have to finish all my karma yoga for next 50, 60, 70 years and next life I will meditate. No, start doing them together. As you are doing karma yoga, do some puja every day. Sit in front of the Lord and offer your heart, talk to Bhagwan. And then also sit and do some meditation, at least 20 minutes every morning. If you can do longer, do longer. So slowly what will happen is that nivritti will come. Right now there is pravritti, lot of action, do this, do this, do this. Slowly the actions become less important and more time is spent in contemplation, puja, meditation, the way Kusum is living, where she spends very little time in karma and lot of time in study and upasana. So gradually that drops off by itself. You don't have to exert or put an effort. Gradually, as the mind becomes quieter and quieter, activity bothers. Pravritti bothers, and slowly nivritti. The example they give is in a plane, right? When you sit in the plane, first thing she tells you, there are 2 exits in the back and 2 in the middle and 1 in the front. Why? If there is a problem, you should know how to get out. So similarly in life, I should know how to get out of life, how to leave this world and stay in withdrawal. So follow that air hostess's instructions. Not only how to get into life, but how to get out. Get out does not mean give up your body, but reduce activity where more and more time is spent. And once you are prepared, then meditation is good. But if you just sit and say, I'm going to meditate, and I don't know what I am meditating on, even though your mind may become quiet. That's why a lot of the meditation techniques teach us about how to quieten the mind. But then they don't say what to do with the quiet mind. And that's what the Upanishad is telling us, that with the quiet mind, contemplate upon that which we heard in the 8th shloka, which is pure, which is brilliant, which is of the nature of all pervading, transcendental. So preparation is very important, and in the 11th shloka he will talk in more detail about preparation. So that's what I think, that's what Gurudev means. Anybody has anything else? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions, any other comments? Kusum, you have something? Go ahead.
No, as we said before, that there are 7 waves. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji said that first 8 were for the higher students. And now that what we are going to do, 9, 10, 11, about Vidya, these are all for us. The lower students means we are not already realized. We are not 100% sadhan chatushtaya. So now from 9 to 18 is all the upasanas and everything. And Vidya, which is talking in all these 3 or 4 slokas, is the integral that we have to do both of them. They have mutual relationship between Vidya and Avidya. With Avidya, you have to do the karma so that you purify, just like Niru says. And then to get the knowledge, then you can meditate. You cannot meditate without any Vidya. So that's why you go into down and you go into blind blackness. That's what exactly it means. So it has to be mutual. But I think now from 9 to 18 are just for us, and they are very practical.
Yes, thank you. Very practical shlokas. 9 to 14 cover this particular topic of Vidya, Avidya. And then 15, 16 is Upasana. 17 tell us how to die. Actually, this Upanishad even tells us how to live life. Most beautiful. Everything, there is nothing which is not covered. And then the glory of this knowledge. So it is a blessing that we are able to study this, and we have to thank Puja Gurudev for this Guru Shishya knowledge that he has given us through all the other acharyas and he himself. And Swami Tapovan Maharaj, Gurudev's, our Param Guru. So we'll end with closing prayer unless somebody has any other question or comments. Okay. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. Sorry, we'll do the Purnamada because that is the mantra of this Upanishad. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. See you next week. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry,
Thank you.
Swamiji's talks, next Monday to Friday. Swamiji will be speaking from 7:30 to 8:30 in the evening. And the topic is Vedanta Madhuryam. So please log in and pass on this message to other people who may be interested. Thank you. Hari Om.